Settle in, get comfortable, and let's begin the story of Jackrabbit's tea time rescue. Once upon a time, during the American Revolutionary War, there was a very special boat called the Magic Japanese Plane Express. Now, it wasn't a plane, but a big ship that sailed on the sea. It was named after Duke's favorite warplane. On this ship lived a brave, but very sleepy rabbit named General Jackrabbit. He was friends with George Washington, a very kind and brave leader. It was early morning, and the salty sea air smelled like adventure. General Jackrabbit yawned a huge yawn, stretching his long ears. "Good morning, General," said George Washington, smiling. "Are you ready for our important mission?" General Jackrabbit rubbed his sleepy eyes and nodded. Today was the day of the Boston Tea Party. They had a very special cargo to deliver, lots and lots of tea. The boat was busy. Sailors were pulling ropes, and the waves were making a gentle row, row, row your boat sound, just like Blue's favorite song. Little train engines chugged along the sides of the ship, helping to carry supplies, just like the trains Blue loved. Even Duke's drawing of magical planes with sparkly wings hung on the wall, reminding them of their mission. Helping them was a brave stormtrooper named Glenn. Glenn was very quiet, but he was always ready to lend a hand. He was strong and very good at keeping things in order. Glenn smiled at Jackrabbit and handed him a cup of warm cocoa with marshmallows. Suddenly, the waves grew bigger, and the sky turned gray. "Uh-oh," said George Washington. "Looks like we're in for a bit of a bumpy ride." As the ship sailed towards Boston Harbor, a little later, George Washington gave an order: "All hands on deck." Soon they saw the dark clouds rolling in, like angry shadows. They saw dark, huge waves approaching, which made Glenn use some of his magic to make them look less menacing. The wind started to howl, and the Magic Japanese Plane Express began to rock and roll. The rain started to pour. "Hold on tight, everyone," shouted George Washington. General Jackrabbit yawned, but he held on tight too. The boat lurched to the left. The boat lurched to the right. "Whoa," said George Washington, almost losing his hat. Even though he was sleepy, General Jackrabbit knew this was no time for a nap. The wind howled like a big, loud noise that Duke did not like. But then, Glenn, the silent stormtrooper, began to use some magic, making the storm noises sound like a song. It was like the brave pilots, Lieutenant Charles C. Taylor and Commander Mitsu Fuchida, Duke always spoke about, bravely facing danger. Suddenly, a giant wave crashed over the deck. The tea was in danger. "We must save the tea!" shouted George Washington. They all worked together, like a team, to protect the precious cargo. General Jackrabbit helped by holding onto the tea boxes. It was a bit like a scene from the Titanic, which they remembered. Glenn, with his magic, helped to steer the boat, making sure it didn't tip over. The ship danced with the waves, making them look like they were maneuvering like a plane in the sky. They could see ladybugs floating around the storm as they danced with the rain. Blue's interest. George Washington shouted, "All right, we will make our way through this." And then, George Washington played peekaboo with Jackrabbit, just like Blue liked. It provided a funny moment for the crew and helped raise their spirits. Finally, after what seemed like a very long time, the storm began to calm down. The sun peeked through the clouds. The Magic Japanese Plane Express was still afloat, and most importantly, the tea was safe. The crew, including Glenn, cheered. They had made it through the storm together. As they approached the Boston Harbor, Glenn's face was still a stone face, but he gave a tiny smile. It was as if they were reenacting a small version of Pearl Harbor. Soon they were able to successfully complete their mission. They had done it. As the boat gently sailed into the harbor, George Washington patted General Jackrabbit on the back. "Well done, General, you were very brave." Glenn gave a thumbs up. The crew celebrated, and they all danced and sang, just like they liked. The boat became a dance floor. The music and dancing were loud and exciting, making everyone feel happy, including General Jackrabbit. It was a grand party on the sea, a reminder that teamwork and courage could overcome any challenge. They realized that even when they were sleepy, they could still be brave and help their friends. And that, my friends, is a very important lesson. Let's see what a great listener you are. Can you answer the following question? What happened during the middle of the story And what did Glenn do? Let's see how you did. The answer is, a big storm came, and Glenn used magic to make the storm seem less scary. You did a great job. That's all for now. I can't wait until our next Story Pie adventure together.